Turn your everyday waste into garden gold. Ready to transform your gardening game? Welcome to the magic of composting, the natural process that turns your kitchen scraps and yard waste into a nutrient-rich soil conditioner, the black gold of gardening. Composting isn't just about creating an ideal environment for your plants to thrive. It's also about reducing the waste you send to the landfill, playing a part in the larger picture of environmental conservation. Imagine every peel, every coffee ground, every fallen leaf, transformed into a valuable resource for your garden. The benefits are twofold. You contribute to a healthier planet by reducing waste, and your garden reaps the rewards of rich organic compost. This nutrient-dense material enriches your soil, promotes plant health, and improves the overall productivity of your garden. Unearth the secret to a lush, thriving garden right from your kitchen scraps and yard waste. The recipe for organic compost is simpler than you might think. At the heart of it all are two key ingredients: green materials and brown materials. Now you might be wondering, what exactly do we mean by greens and browns? Let's break it down. Green materials are those rich in nitrogen. They're the life and energy of your compost pile. We're talking about things like fruit and vegetable peels, coffee grounds, fresh grass clippings, and even that leftover salad you never got around to eating. These materials are the powerhouses that drive the composting process, encouraging the growth of microorganisms that break down organic matter. On the other side of the spectrum, we have brown materials. These are carbon-rich substances. Think fallen leaves, twigs, paper, and straw. While they may not seem as exciting as their green counterparts, they play an equally crucial role in the composting process. Browns provide the bulk and structure needed for air circulation and also act as a food source for our microbial friends. The magic happens when these two types of materials come together in a balanced mix. Too many greens, and your compost pile may become smelly and slow to decompose. Too many browns, and the composting process might never really kick off. But strike the right balance, and you'll create a compost pile that's a bustling hub of decomposition. It's a place where microorganisms thrive, breaking down your kitchen and garden waste into a rich, earthy substance that your plants will love. So as you go about your day, keep an eye out for potential compost materials. That coffee filter from this morning's brew? Brown material. The banana peel from your afternoon snack? Green material. Before you know it, you'll be seeing potential compost everywhere. Remember, a balanced mix of greens and browns makes for a healthy, productive compost pile. And that's your ticket to transforming everyday waste into garden gold. Ready to dig deeper into the world of composting? Getting your compost bin ready is a breeze. Let's walk through the process together. First things first, size matters. If you have a small garden or a balcony, a compact bin will do the trick. For larger gardens, or if you're generating a lot of kitchen waste, you might consider a bigger bin or even a compost tumbler. Next, location. You want your bin to be easily accessible all year round, but not too close to your living areas to avoid any possible odors. A shady spot in your garden is ideal, as it helps keep your compost from drying out in the heat of summer. Finally, the type of bin. You can buy a ready-made compost bin or make one yourself from wooden pallets or a simple trash bin with holes drilled in it for aeration. Some bins come with features like lids to keep pests out and doors for easy compost removal. With your bin set up, you're ready to start composting. Now let's build your compost pile layer by layer. Think of your compost pile like a lasagna, alternating between layers of greens and browns. Greens are kitchen scraps like fruit and vegetable peels, coffee grounds, and fresh grass clippings. They are rich in nitrogen and help heat up your compost pile. Browns are dry leaves, straw, or shredded paper. They are rich in carbon and provide aeration and bulk to help speed up the decomposition process. Start with a layer of browns at the bottom of your compost bin. This initial layer acts like a sponge, absorbing any excess moisture from the greens. It also helps with air circulation, crucial for the microorganisms that will break down your compost. Next, add a layer of greens. You can also mix in a little bit of garden soil or finished compost to introduce beneficial microorganisms. Then add another layer of browns. Continue this pattern until your compost bin is full, always ending with a layer of browns on top. This final layer helps retain moisture and heat, and also keeps any potential odors under control. The layering process is more than just a systematic way of filling your compost bin. Each layer plays a vital role in the composting process. The greens provide the necessary nutrients for the microorganisms to thrive and multiply. The browns, on the other hand, provide the structure that allows air to circulate freely, preventing the pile from becoming too dense or waterlogged. This balance between greens and browns is what makes the magic happen, turning waste into nutrient-rich compost. Keep in mind that your compost pile should be moist, but not wet. The consistency should be like a wrung-out sponge. If it's too dry, add some water. If it's too wet, add more browns. Remember, composting is not a precise science. It's more about getting a feel for it and making adjustments as needed. And the most important ingredient of all is patience. Patience pays off in composting. Your layers will break down into rich, fertile compost over time. So, let's keep going and see how you can maintain your compost pile for the best results. A little care goes a long way in composting. Now that we've talked about layering your compost, let's dive into the maintenance of your compost pile. It's a bit like tending a garden, but instead of plants, you're nurturing a community of microorganisms that are working hard to break down your organic waste. First up, turning the pile. This isn't an aerobic exercise, but it's about getting oxygen to your compost. You see, composting is an aerobic process, which means it needs air to happen. Turning your compost pile, either with a pitchfork or a compost tumbler, helps to aerate it, speeding up the decomposition process. Think of it as giving your compost a breath of fresh air. Next, let's talk moisture. Just like Goldilocks, your compost pile likes things just right. Not too dry, not too soggy, but just moist enough. If it's too dry, the microorganisms can't do their job, and if it's too wet, it can become smelly and attract unwanted pests. If your compost pile is too dry, add some water. If it's too wet, add more browns to soak up the excess moisture. Speaking of smells and pests, let's tackle these common composting issues. A healthy compost pile should smell like earth, not like a garbage dump. If your pile starts to smell, it might be too wet, or you might have added too many greens and not enough browns. Adjust the balance, turn your compost, and the smell should clear up. As for pests, remember to avoid adding meat, dairy, or cooked food to your compost pile, as these attract unwanted visitors. Lastly, patience is key. Composting is a natural process, and it takes time. Depending on the materials you add and how often you turn your compost pile, it could take anywhere from 2 months to a year for your compost to be ready. With regular maintenance, your compost pile will transform into garden gold before you know it. So keep turning, keep balancing, and keep nurturing your compost pile. Your plants will thank you for it. It's time to reap the rewards of your composting efforts. After a few weeks, or sometimes months, your compost pile will transform into a dark, crumbly substance with a fresh, earthy scent. This is your garden's gold. To harvest, simply reach into your bin and scoop out the finished compost. The material at the bottom is usually the most decomposed, so start there. Now let's put this black gold to work. Compost can be used in various ways in your garden. It's fantastic for enriching your soil, so consider mixing it into your garden beds or using it to top dress your lawn. You can also use compost as potting soil for your container plants, or as a mulch to conserve moisture and suppress weeds. Remember, compost is not a fertilizer, but a soil conditioner. It improves the soil structure, making it easier for plants to absorb nutrients. Your plants will thank you for the nutrient-rich compost you've lovingly produced. Composting at home is a game changer for any gardener. This simple yet rewarding practice transforms our everyday waste into a precious resource for our gardens. Organic compost enriches the soil, boosting its fertility and promoting healthier, more vibrant plants. It's a natural, chemical-free way to nourish your garden while reducing waste and helping the environment. We've walked through the steps together, from gathering your greens and browns, setting up your compost bin, layering your compost, maintaining the pile, all the way to harvesting and using the compost. Each step is a testament to the magic of composting, a process that breathes new life into what we once considered waste. Now, it's your turn. Start your composting journey today. It's a journey of discovery, of learning, and of growth. And remember, you're not alone in this. Share your experiences or any questions in the comments. Let's grow together, one compost pile at a time.